This is my legacy presentation. So a lot of people, most of the time, don't have to go through watching someone grow up and become ready for the world until they're parents and their kid hits that age that they're ready to take things on their own. But I kind of feel the opposite. Um, I have a brother who is about 12 years younger than I am, and as such, I've watched him grow up while I was still growing up, but grown up enough to realize that he was also growing up on his own and not just the two of us growing up together as though we were closer in life. Um, for a little while of that life, I lived in a different state. I lived in Florida while he lived here in Texas, Roy City, and I would fly down to visit uh, every spring break, every summer break, winter break, as often as I could. But even still, missing 3 to 4 months of someone's life when they're 1, 2, 3 years old, that's very sizable chunks and very big differences happen. And one time I came back and saw that he was now walking and had, mumbled short little sentences coming out. And that was a big hit to me when I decided I wasn't gonna do that anymore. So I moved here. I used to live with my mom in Florida. I now live here with my dad and stepmom. He's my half brother. Probably should have said that sooner. He's my half brother. I lived with my mother in Florida, and he is my dad and stepmom's child. And I now live with them, with our own family here. I see him every day. He's the reason I moved here. He's the reason that I've experienced life the way that I have. Um, One time, I had flown back to Florida to visit my mom, and I was walking down the same streets, the same stores that I would walk down while I was missing part of my brother's life. And thinking now, it was probably that subconsciously in the back of my head, knowing that I'm missing him again, that I did something I don't normally do without reason. Is I went and I bought him a toy. It was just a toy dinosaur. I just saw it and then I thought about him because I had a picture of a little kid about his age playing with it. So I said, okay, I'm getting that toy. So a couple of days later, I fly back and I show him what I got him. And he says, okay, here, I'm going to give you something. And he gives me a toy. And I'm thinking, okay, he's thinking it's like a game or whatever. I'll take it, make him happy, and I'll give it back to him in a few days. So I took it, I played with it, and I gave it back to him. I was about 17 at the time. A couple of days later, I put it back in his closet without him knowing because I didn't want to take a kid's toy from him. And not even like half an hour later, he comes out and says, Bubba, that's what he calls me, you left the monster truck I gave you in my room. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about it. And I took it back. And I've tried to return it a couple of times afterwards. And he always tells me that I forget it and that it's mine now. So this stays in my room. It stays on my dresser, either here or on my nightstand. And it reminds me, it's a product of me missing part of his life. Um, I got the dinosaur because I was reminded of it when I was back there in Florida, and because he got him the dinosaur, he gave this to me. So, should I die, and well, when I die, and if this is next to me, and some alien or archaeologist from a whole different culture digs me up with this, they might think that I'm like just a really tall child, who plays with toys, but that's not it at all. It's largely sentimental, and I think it's pretty humorous that it's a little kid's toy, but it has a lot of sentimental value. Um, it it's kind of funny having a sibling that much younger because you kind of feel some of the feelings that I guess parents would have because there's a bit of a not so much a disconnect. You don't feel like you're growing at the same rate they are. They feel like they're growing way faster than I'm growing. Um, and I found there's this song that was about a parent with his daughter growing up and leaving the house. And the end of it goes like this. She had that Honda loaded down with Abercrombie clothes and 15 pairs of shoes and his American Express. He checked the oil and slammed the hood, said, "You're good to go." She hugged them both and headed off to the West Coast. He cried, "There goes my life. There goes my future, my everything. I love you, baby. Goodbye." And while it is a super emotional song, that's kind of how I feel when I saw him standing now and walking and talking. That, yeah, I realized that I'm missing my own brother's life, and I didn't like it. It was really bad. So I made that decision to come here, and it completely changed my life. So that is the whole reasoning behind how I have a toy for a 6-year-old. He was 6 at the time. He's now 8. So that is the reasoning behind me having a little kid's toy and its importance to me.